know. Like, I'm not joking, Alicia. I'm just reporting primary sourced court documents. This is why. You could read up on it if you want. She didn't know. That's real. And then I love this. To be honest, wouldn't be surprised if I saw this picture of the White House. This is like one of the pictures, like in the Oval Office on South Park. I mean, this is what Trump does. He reposts like weird AI. Like, I don't suggest anyone hang out on True Social, but I do. And this is what is on there. Like, this is Trump reposts these weird pictures. It's like him riding a lion. Like, this is, I mean, yeah, like this is probably the next step of what's going to be hung in the Oval Office. Like, that's deep-seated insecurity. I mean, whatever. Anyways, Trump posted this morning, and I was just, well, in the words of one of my favorite independent journalists, what? I just thought I don't even know what he's talking about anymore. Everyone is stating that I will destroy Elon's companies by taking away some, if not all, of the large-scale subsidies he receives from the U.S. government. This is not so. I want Elon and all businesses within our country to thrive. In fact, thrive like never before. The better they do, the better the USA does. And that's good for all of us. We're setting records every day, and I want to keep it that way. We are not, right? Like, if you can do math, we are not setting any records day by day. Like, so that's not true. I mean, maybe the cost of living in the US, the cost of going to the grocery store, maybe we're setting records in that. But this is the thing. I'm no fan of space, Karen, but we have to move to clean energy, period. Like, we have to move to cleaner, cheaper energy. It is cheaper, and we need diverse energy. And because Trump has been bribed by 1890s energy, coal, he calls it clean coal, right? And the war on wind. This is because he was bribed by fossil fuels and coal to make clean energy suffer and to eradicate it. Like, this is not the future. And I've made several mathematical arguments and given examples of how the big, beautiful bill, the immediate cost of that is rise in energy prices, period. Anyways, let's get into this because I promised myself I'm going to go through. I skip around in presentations. So I promised myself I don't know if I'm going to be able to do like all of Linda McMahon's dumb comments, but I think it's important I'm sure you guys saw in the news that the University of Columbia like agreed to a settlement with Trump. Oh, sorry, it makes me sick to even say this out loud. I thought this interview happened early this morning with the president of the University of Columbia.
This is a very big moment for the school and for higher education and its relationship with the federal government.
Absolutely.
What was it that it was negotiated for quite some time? What was it that got this over the finish line?
So many things. Look, I think in the biggest possible of pictures, this resolution is really going to allow us to turn a page on a period of deep instability for our institution. I think, as you mentioned, it took us months of a lot of conversations, deep deliberation, and almost word by word negotiation. And our view was always we were willing to talk as long as the talks were productive. It took longer in many cases than we had anticipated, but we were willing to keep moving because the stakes were so high. And I think there are a couple of really important things about this agreement from our point of view. One, it doesn't cross the red lines that we laid out. It protects our academic integrity. That was, of course, essential to us. And two, it does reset our relationship with the federal government in terms of research funding. And that's, there's many headlines about $400 million. This is really access to billions.
It was a lot more than that.
Billions of dollars in future funding. And it's not just money for Columbia. I mean, this is about science. It's about curing cancer, cutting edge, boundary breaking science that actually benefits the country and humanity. So that was essential.
How existential was the threat becoming? When you talk about, I saw over like $1.3 billion that the school was not losing.
Yes.
How existential was this threat to the university if it continued?
There are lots of ways to measure it. So $1.3 billion a year, billions in future funding. But we are a massive research institution, one of the best in the world. It's hard. We'd have to sit here for hours for me to tell you everything we do in terms of that boundary breaking research. And that's research really that powers the technology in this country, innovation, and of course all the biomedical research that so many people benefit from. So I think the stakes were high for us in terms of what we do. And by the way, for our students also, we're an incredible training ground for the future of science. But I think it's fair to say they're existential broadly for science in this country as well. We have to get that funding back on track.
Was the what
This is another example, like, and I don't have the time to make the full mathematical argument, and I've made it before, but like, this is the idiocy of we shouldn't have immigration. Like, the most brilliant minds in America often are immigrants. They're people who go to schools like Columbia, create patents that are funded by the endowment at these Ivy League universities, like medical research, the curing of cancer. All of these things are happening at universities around the country and are being pioneered at universities around the country. I mean, that's why Harvard's endowment is so large. It's because they hold like 50% of so many patents like that. I mean, so I also agree. Someone said, where's this money going? Allegedly to the federal government. But I mean, I'm sure this is a thing for journalism. What is Trump planning on doing with that money is a great question. But what she's saying is when we have like 1 point something billion of federal funding on the line a year for medical research or other types of research, like 200 million is nothing. And Trump is essentially saying, oh, wait, did I close it? No, I didn't. Okay. I have it here. Because it's a 22-page agreement. You could look it up by font. I mean, it's linked in articles about this. And essentially, Columbia will pay the Trump administration which should go to us, the taxpayers, but he will use it for bullshit. Probably will go to ICE so they can arrest U.S. citizens. I was watching a video today of ICE agents beating the F out of a U.S. citizen and literally giving him a head injury. Can't wait to pay for that lawsuit. He's 100% born in the United States, has a social security number, and been here his whole life. And they literally beat him within an inch of his life. Cool. Can't wait. What could ever go wrong? Columbia will pay the Trump administration $200 million, but get back most of the $400 million in federal funding that was cut amid. And again, you never heard them talk about anti-Semitism. This was allegedly about anti-Semitism that was never happening on campus because apparently not supporting Israel genociding people is anti-Semitic, which it's not. Right? I support anyone's human rights, right to peace, right to freedom, right to self-actualize. The same human rights that white males enjoy are the same human rights I want every human being on this planet to have access to. And when we all, with our own eyes, witness a genocide in real time, apparently we're not allowed to say, hey, there's a genocide going on, because that is now anti-Semitic. Say what now? And the biggest irony of that is like the reason we're all so sensitive to G-side is because we, what happened in Germany as someone with a history degree, and that took a lot of Western Civ classes, and and not just that, but I'm fascinated by science and epigenetics. And if you're like, how are these two things related? Like, we know as a result of the G-side in 1940s Germany, we know that 3 generations removed from that, right, of Jewish people whose ancestors up to 3 generations removed experienced that horror. Epigenetics is understanding that because of that trauma, it's not just unique to that person, right? When people procreate that have experienced that trauma and I'm saying generations and generations down the line, their genes are expressed differently. Like, I would say this is why people always ask me, oh, you're a Division I athlete. in the words of my ex-boyfriend, you're a breeder. Like, I'm a professional athlete. Why don't you want to have a kid? Because I'm not going to subject anyone. I've read too many epigenetic studies. I understand what I would be possibly subjecting my child to, right? It means, like, let's say a normal person's genes and human genome, it's anxiety is expressed when they feel it. Well, epigenetics, if 3 generations removed someone experienced a G-side, then your genes they're essentially turned on. It is almost like the children, their children, and those children's children lived through the same pain. And generations later, we know scientifically, if you don't understand, look up epigenetics, are still feeling that same pain of a G-side. So watching Israel, just to tie this all together and bring it on home for you, watching people who not only experienced a G-side, but then the generations that came after them are living that same nightmare, literally inside their genetics, would then perpetrate a G-side while we all watch. And I'm not saying, I just want to be very clear. There are many Israelis who do not support Netanyahu, right? And I understand all of that. I'm just saying, if you can't understand a fundamental difference between, hey, perpetrating a G-side is wrong, and also I, renounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. Those ideas are not contrary to one another. They're very much complementary. And I think anyone whose brain works can get there quite easily. So, it's fascinating to me to watch all of these Democrats, because I would say, like, if there is perversion, and I don't have time to show a 20-minute Bernie Sanders video, but I promise you it exists, and I encourage everyone to go find it, and Bernie Sanders made a video a couple weeks ago where he was giving example. He was essentially starting to talk about Mamdani. And I feel like a lot of people on the left always encourage me to hate Hakeem Jeffries. I don't hate Hakeem Jeffries. I think there's a lot of examples of why Black people in Congress, in the House, particularly in New York and New Jersey, like Cory Booker, like Hakeem Jeffries, like Richie Torres, before Jamal Bowman, right? Jamal Bowman spoke out against AIPAC, spoke out against Israeli G-side and what Netanyahu is up to. And where's Jamal Bowman now? Not here. The most expensive primary in New York of all time. He was primaried by AIPAC, essentially, right? So I'm saying this to say my criticism of Hakeem Jeffries is I watch him, and this is a person beholden to the ethics of the bar who I watch follow very sound lines of logic all the time. And then you bring up that Yahoo, and all of a sudden it's like cognitive dissonance sets in with these people. Same with Richie Torres. I was looking up on opensecrets.org how much money these people have taken, right? I think Hakeem Jeffries is at somewhere like 1.3, 1.4 million from AIPAC. Richie Torres, same thing. He's in a district like adjacent to AOC in the Bronx. And if you're ever wondering why, it's like, how can these people be so smart, so logical, and then all of a sudden just flip a switch? That's why. That is my criticism. Like, if you can't like either follow a line of logic, G-side is wrong. It's not right when Israelis do it either. Like, I think that's a very simple thing, right? Authoritarianism is wrong. Right? Raising up a military and using the wealth of the country that has the #1 gross domestic product in the world to engineer indigenous population out of existence, even though this is America's favorite hobby, is wrong. It's wrong when they did it to indigenous people in America. It's wrong when, the empire, the UK, did it all over the world. It's wrong while we watch Israel, our like misbehaving stepchild, do it in the Middle East. It will always be wrong. If you can't follow that line of logic, you are in cognitive dissonance. If it was wrong in 1940s Germany, it is wrong everywhere else, period. My Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. Yeah, I know. I love them. Thank you. Whoever, that's funny. Hakeem, not good. But here's the thing. I want everyone to understand, and this is why I like doing the people's receipts, because I want to challenge everyone to think. I'm not saying Hakeem Jeffries is not good. I'm saying I watch him follow sound lines of logic and make great points every day. And I don't know the answer in New York. AIPAC has unbelievable amounts of control in congressional elections in New York City. I've watched, Jamal Bowman was a high school principal and a progressive and probably my favorite black man in the House and Congress before he disappeared in the most expensive primary of all time because he had the nerve to say, maybe we shouldn't G-side brown people in the Middle East. My biggest criticism of Hakeem Jeffries is still to this day, you'll see the clips. Like one of these days, it's not going to be today because we have too much to talk about, but I have a whole presentation just on Mamdani and the unbelievable, like I've never, like I said, I've taken a lot of history classes. I was fascinated by Malcolm X, and I've never seen, like, the rise of Mamdani is very similar to Malcolm X. He is a problem for very rich people and AIPAC. And if you watch, I've seen now 3 clips because every Thursday, Hakeem Jeffries, he's the minority leader in the House, he does press conferences. I used to enjoy watching them. I get sick to my stomach now because I keep seeing him pretend. First of all, his first thing was I don't know, Mom, who? like you can tell AIPAC has instructed him to hate and never endorse Mamdani. For the first couple, he's like, who? Pretended to not know. Then he's like, I just don't know enough about him. No, I won't endorse him. I mean, it is scary to watch what AIPAC money will do. And I want everyone to understand, though, like, I'm not saying this to say there aren't great things that Hakeem Jeffrey has done. There are great things that Cory Booker has done. We've watched them, right? So it's not black or white. Life is not black or white. I don't know because I watched what happened to Jamal Bowman. I don't know the answer for black men in New York City and New Jersey without AIPAC money. I watched what happened to Jamal Bowman. I don't know how you survive without the backing of AIPAC. I've watched when a black man abandons that AIPAC is it's basically the Israeli Defense Fund. I don't know. It's the backing of Israel, and they are terrifying. But I just want to say, this is one super PAC. This is happening all across the political spectrum with super PACs and lobbying groups, right? The reason we are doing this quote unquote mass deportation where the math's not mathing, Obama still is averaging more deportations. I could make a whole mathematical argument for how Trump's not even close to what Obama did legally, right? He didn't have to violate the Constitution and beat down American citizens and disappear them. Obama did it legally, civilly, and he averaged way more people. That's the truth. And if you don't believe, there's many articles and you can look up these numbers on your own, but it's true, right? But the reason we're doing a mass deportation is because it's follow the money. Right? This is why, I have many reasons to hate Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma, but one of the reasons I hate is the insider trading, right? The TikTok ban. That's not logical. Let me help you. If they cared about us and about China infiltrating or stealing our data, let me help you. It's called data privacy laws. But Trump has been bribed within an inch of his life to deregulate the tech industry. The TikTok ban was a money grab. Look up every single senator or congressperson that took a huge position in Meta and bet on the TikTok ban. Look it up. That's a money grab. The mass deportation, huge money grab. Huge money grab. The Congress people are getting rich off it. The majority are Republicans, but there are some moderate Democrats that should be held accountable as well. And I always say opensecrets.org, the money, that's the beautiful thing about forensic accounting. Follow the money. You can find out who's in it for the money. And that's why I say, I don't mean this to condemn anyone. There's no right answer to this. The only right answer is ban ban stock trading in Congress. And I mean, I'm not Nancy Pelosi. I never placed a trade. Yeah, your uncle can't place a trade for you. Your husband can't place a trade. Your financial manager can't place a trade, right? We need to stop Congress people from profiting in any way off the information they get while sitting on these committees. That's step one. They have a financial incentive to use this information and continue making money. And then they're like, I'm not even going to get into it, but Mike Johnson did it again, crying last Wednesday about, we haven't had a COLA adjustment. And you're like, I'm not talking about Coca-Cola. I'm talking about a cost of living adjustment. I think it's very simple. We just have a contract that says I will not profit in any way in the stock market while I'm in Congress. And then you can have your cost of living adjustment. AOC should have a cost of living adjustment. Right? People who are profiting, even Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can link insider trading back to her. It's just gross. They're all in on it. So that's the problem. We need to ban stock trading in Congress and really ban it. Not like, oh, your brother, you can tell your brother the secret and then he can place the trade for you. You can't profit off information in Congress, period. And then second, we need to get money. We have to undo Citizens United. As long as super PACs, as long as corporations are people, we are effed. As long as dark money can be infused in politics, as long as it takes $2 billion to elect a president, we are effed. That's how we disempower AIPAC, right? We don't blame people for playing the game. We have to change the laws, period. Because no one's doing anything illegal. This is all legal. And I think those are things the left and right can agree on. Right? Like we all agree on that stuff. And term limits is what, we can't have people who can't make decisions about their own finances voting in Congress. Like, I think those are the three things that would change everything in America. We'll see who really wants to be a civil servant when you're not going to get rich off insider trading. Then we'll find out who wants to serve the people. Sorry, that was a long effing tangent. Oh yeah, I can't listen to Linda McMahon. I'm sorry. Her face is sickening. Hulk Hogan's no longer with us. I'm trying to feel bad. I'm trying so hard, but then I think about all those recordings of him saying the N-word. It's hard for me. So it's so many recordings of him saying the N-word though. And it's hard for me to get there. I mean, that man said the N-word more times than just too many times. It's one too many. He said the N-word one too many times. That's the problem. Is just, he just could not stop saying it, and it's all on tape. And that one tape where he's like screaming at his daughter for about dating a black man, that was like the last straw for me with him. Oh, I know, and Ozzy Osbourne. But yeah, he was living a life, and same with Hulk Hogan. They were living lives, and they lived their life to the fullest. So, but yeah, just too many N-words is the thing with Hulk. Way too many. Okay, I want to get into this because so the inspector generals that Trump has not fired, there's a couple left. There's an inspector general, and these are the real auditors, right? That's why the whole Doge thing was a joke. Elon Musk saved us no money. As a matter of fact, cost us more money and just stole all the government data and went away. Inspector generals are actually trained forensic accountants and auditors. These are the people that really look into efficiency and are we wasting money? How do we streamline the government? These things. Unfortunately, the Pentagon Inspector General is on to another, Pete Hegseth's liver has done it again.
Top headlines now. The Pentagon's watchdog has reportedly received evidence that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's signal messages that previewed U.S. strikes in Yemen came from an email that was marked secret, no foreign. According to the Post, the secret designation means the information was classified at a level in which unauthorized disclosure could be expected to cause serious damage to national security.
We're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both
Be clear about what you're hearing. This came out this morning or late last night, late last night, depending on your time zone. So I just want to be clear. We know now for sure that the White House saying, oh, none of that was classified. Of course it was. Of course, strikes in Yemen and our pilots who, if that information gets out, like they could be unalived. Of course it was classified. And then, so I don't think Pete Hegseth decided to do this major cover up. But remember, even in Mike Waltz's last confirmation hearing, he's like, none of that was classified. We know for sure, right? They've traced it back. That's the beauty of the internet and data, to a classified chain. It was all classified, as it should be. It would be crazy for it not to be. But then because Trump didn't want to take accountability for everyone in his cabinet we know was unqualified and had no business having their jobs, being incompetent, he was like, oh, it wasn't classified, but now we know for sure that it was. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So let's just understanding that, like, let's just hear that one more time, that everyone in the Trump administration actively lied. Okay, Dale, we're not doing that now. I haven't slept for 2 days. I've read all 160 pages, and yeah, no, that's not true. So you're just making something up. But what we know for sure, when the Pentagon General Inspector traced this back, it absolutely, of course, attack plans, striking our pilots flying over Yemen and striking targets, of course it's classified. And now we know for sure that it's true.
Top headlines.
This is your last warning, David. Just because you can't read doesn't mean I can't. I'm the teacher. You're the idiot that distracts everyone in class. Like, I will block you for the rest of this live if you continue distracting everyone.
Now, the Pentagon's watchdog has reportedly received evidence that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's signal messages that previewed U.S. strikes in Yemen came from an email that was marked secret, no foreign. According to the Post, the secret designation means the information was classified at a level in which unauthorized disclosure could be expected to cause serious damage to national security.
we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time,
you said that accountability is bad. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Top headlines now. The Pentagon's...
Oh my God. Just remembering this clip. Okay, so again, here's another example of, like, there's something wrong with everyone in Congress. That guy that just went after Pete Hegseth, that was one of my most favorite moments. He's a former Marine, I believe, from Mass. I always talk about how I love Congress people. Oh, by the way, Dale had to go away for the rest of the class because he couldn't, his impulse control, he was not able to control himself. So Dale/David is gone for the rest of class today. We'll try again we'll try again tomorrow and see if Dale can do better. But I remember, and maybe you guys remember, so Seth Moulton, there's a lot of things wrong. Seth Moulton is one of these moderate Democrats who's like, maybe we shouldn't protect the rights of trans people. It's like, the answer is not moving back to the center. That's how Mustache Man came to power. Like, the problem is we're always moving to the center. Like, so I'm just giving an example of how, but Seth Moulton is this brilliant Marine that understands, like, he's very intelligent and just like, every time Pete Hegseth is under oath, he eats him for dinner. I've got to show you. I got to just remind you guys, because that is not even the best part of when he embarrassed him, but that's what he said. There's a 5 minutes. Seth Moulton's like, it's going to come out. You're lying. That was classified. What are you going to do when it all comes out, Pete? And now what we're saying is Representative Seth Moulton was right. It was classified information, and just understand, this is the truth. If he will lie about this, Trump, and they decided to lie. Now we know for a fact it was all a lie. The whole none of that was classified, which if your brain works, you understood that to be the case the entire time. Nobody should be chatting about the plans of our American soldiers to, strike targets in another country, because that chatter can be picked up and then our own pilots will be unalive. Of course, it's classified information. I need everyone to tap the screen and get us to 250K right now. Tap, tap, tap. I know it's Thursday. Everyone's fingers are tired. But I'm trying to think of the best way I just want to show this clip because it was one of the most brilliant moments. It's like, I always just want somebody to just get Pete Hegseth to shut up. And here, I'm trying to think, should I find the actual, I'm going to just text this to myself really quick. Because I just don't think I've ever seen someone put the fear of God into Pete Hegseth's liver like Seth Moulton did. And so that's my point. Whilst I don't agree with Seth Moulton being this weird alpha male from the military that thinks we need to move to the center, because statistically, historically, mathematically, none of that is correct. That's not the answer to our future. But is he very useful in these situations to make Pete Hegseth look like an idiot? Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, there's no simple answer, right? Like, every person is right about certain things. Like, did I love Cory Booker staying up all night and doing what he did on the Senate floor? Yes. Does Cory Booker, supporting the TikTok ban and the damn crypto bill and like all sorts of things that also like seem very, you're helping billionaires consolidate power and participating in trickle up economics that won't benefit any of us? Yeah, both things are true. So that's all I'm saying. And my point is like, we don't need to blame the person operating within the system to survive and get reelected. We need to change the rules of the game. Right? We don't want insider traders profiting Congress. We change the rules. We want term limits. We change the rules. We don't want it to cost $2 billion to elect a president and then they owe a bunch of billionaires favors. We change the rules. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand multiple things can be true at once. And something I've noticed in politics and on the internet is so many people are like, it's black and white. It has to be black and white. Either I like this person and I agree 100% of the time, or I hate them. We can't like anyone. This is the problem of the left, right? Yes, not right. Right, that was confusing, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you just have to understand, we are in late stage capitalism. Everyone's just surviving, and the only way to change the corruption is to change the rules. I don't fault anyone in here for how you're surviving in capitalism or whatever weird corruption you're engaged in to pay your rent. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're never going to hear me shit on you for that. You keep on keeping on, and I'm going to do the same. Okay, I found the clip. This is just I'm sorry, but we all need to feel encouragement. And when Representative Seth Moulton, I've never seen someone make Pete Hegseth look this dumb. This is what I'm saying. He has bad ideas about some things, but man, I live for this moment. God, I've never seen Pete Hegseth more uncomfortable. And I have to quickly go make sure my cat's okay because he has both his paws underneath the door and is screaming. So I'm just going to check on him real quick while we watch this.
Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
it's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the.
Okay, so everyone knows the Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah. What was the classification marking? Because
again, classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not trying to say anything.
That's what I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time...
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that...
To be clear, now we know for sure it was classified. So he's lying under oath. Just to be clear, Pete Hegseth was lying under oath. This was June 12th, 2025. Pete Hegseth was under oath lying.
Is classified, will you take accountability or not?
As
We've
I
already
said,
established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything I
accountability?
share, everything I talk about,
Mr.
as
Secretary, does
of Defense,
accountability apply to you or not?
is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me or not?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm just asking if it applies
very
to you.
successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on
I'm
the
just
battlefield,
asking about
we
I
actually
reclaim my
put them
time.
in a place
I
where
reclaim
they
my time.
called for a ceasefire.
I claim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example.
Of course. Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told it's several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S. flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration,
The answer is zero.
military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask about military vessels. I
which
asked
would
about
be the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial vessels?
transit.
It's been several weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have
Well,
transited the
would
Red
you,
Sea?
Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
for
me,
military
Mr. Secretary,
ships?
they're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer is zero.
ships through first.
I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was the Army JAG fired? Why did you fire him?
they all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just
of
asking
a
you
leader
why.
that we
And
need.
you probably learned at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
each and
explain
every
why
one
you
those
fired any of
places.
them?
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott.
You see what I'm saying? I don't like everything out of Rep. Seth Moulton's mouth, but he serves a very vital purpose to make Pete Hegseth know every minute of every day that his brain doesn't work. Now, and again, I just sent this to everyone, like the latest news update about this, I just sent to everyone in the Discord. It's in the general chat if you don't have your notification set to get when I add everyone. But this is a CBS News article from today called, or it was last updated today, called Watchdog has evidence, like the Pentagon Inspector General has evidence Hegseth's signal messages on Yemen strikes included info from classified email, which is exactly what over a month ago Seth Moulton said. You and I both know that what you did was leak classified info. And when it comes out that you did, are you going to hold yourself accountable, you coward? So, and this is why I do all this research. This is why being a historical researcher is so great. It's because it's just, that's why I call this show The People's Receipts. It's just like, that's what research is about. That's the beauty of the internet. The receipts are all there. And you lied under oath, Pete Hegseth, and now we know. The Pentagon's internal watchdog has obtained evidence that encrypted messages sent from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Signal account included details from a classified email, according to 2 senior American officials with knowledge of the matter. The chat listed... Wait, why? Oh my God, there's so many pop-up ads. Sorry. Sorry, I thought another one. I was about to freak out. The chat messages listed out information on a planned U.S. bombing operation in Yemen in March and were sent to several Trump administration officials. Key information in messages was derived from a classified email marked secret, no foreign, said 2 officials who both requested anonymity. The secret designation means that the information was classified, Pete, and the disclosure of this information could potentially cause serious damage to national security, potentially jeopardizing the safety of service members. The no foreign, meaning in all caps NOFORN label, means the information can only be disseminated to U.S. agencies and individuals, excluding foreign nationals and even close U.S. allies. And this original report came out in the Washington Post on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm just linking to this article. Oh, it's a Washington Post exclusive. I didn't see this. Sorry, it's hard to keep up with all this. I'll send this out as a gift article. I need to, I'll send this to I need to text this to myself, and then I'll make it a gift article. I'm just going to text this to myself so I don't forget, because Washington, that's another example. Like, I could spend 6 hours saying what I don't like about Jeff Bezos, but he owns the Washington Post, and are they occasionally doing some really good reporting? It's the same issue I have with Rupert Murdoch. Like, it's just, you got to pick and choose. And that's the thing about secondary sources. Like, sorry, I'm just texting this article to myself so I can remember to get it back to you guys tomorrow. Because isn't it great when you just have all these receipts and then it all just comes back to just shit on Pete Hegseth's face? I wonder if he's going to resign. My guess is no. Because that guy does not care about anyone but himself. Okay, anyways, let's move on from this because we have so many other things. But I just thought that when I saw that account, I was like, finally, I knew this day was coming and it finally came. Oh, I love when everything comes back. It just burns up in Trump's face. That's the point when you're a liar and also an idiot. Like, it's like the lies are always going to come back to haunt you. It's not going to work. Actually, I can't do this right now because I can't listen to Trump. I promised myself I was going to get to these Robert Reich videos because he's been just making fabulous content. He's our de facto cult leader on the People's Receipts. If you don't know, he was the labor secretary for Bill Clinton. He also is a professor of economics at UC Berkeley. He's absolutely effing brilliant is the point. And like, if you ever want to learn about the economy, and not just the economy from a billionaire who's trying to take and take and take from the rest of us, but the economy, in terms of, for us, the little people, like, I just can't express to you enough how great of a teacher he is. He is on TikTok. I mean, he has like 5 million followers on Facebook, which I'm like, good. I hope all the weird MAGA people are learning something. People love him. You can't, it's like the message Bernie Sanders is giving, but like this guy is a teacher, at heart. It's like, God, I would die to take a class for him. He's retiring though from Berkeley, so it will never happen. Or I'd try to like audit one of his classes. Brandon Henderson, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. He said, look into HR 1319. I will. Sorry, I'm just typing it in really quick so I can I just have tabs after tabs, and then I go back through them. 25 to 2026 to amend yeah, this is some Robert Reich shit. To amend the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 and National Labor Relations Act to clarify standard for determining whether an individual is an employee and for other purposes. Yeah. Oh, that's so. Brandon, you don't understand how apropos, that's Latin. Look it up, MAGA. This truly is. That's what I'm about. I'm about to talk about labor standards and how we're all being abused. Of course it's Kevin Kiley. Of course. That man is a monster. He's in the district next to Eric Swalwell, and watching Eric Swalwell harass that man 24 hours a day on the Judiciary Committee is one of my favorite activities. Let me see the text of the bill really quick. Again, I'm talking about House Resolution 1319. An individual should be determined to be an independent contractor. Oh, so they don't have to give anyone insurance or, yeah. Oh my God. I'll have to read this later. It's basically just disenfranchising workers of corporations, basically saying they're contractors, basically to probably not give them any benefits. This is probably for Walmart. Whether each such other person, the individual, to comply with legal statute, whether such other person, health safety standards are more stringent. Yeah. This is just taking more ability to get health insurance, I assume, and any other benefits from any employee that works for a large corporation. And that's what Robert Reich made this video today. Like, this is the reality. We are slaves. This is late stage capitalism. House Resolution 1319, what Robert Reich is about to teach us about. This is late stage capitalism. We are slaves now. Late stage capitalism is when the American Empire, or the same thing happened in the Roman Empire. That's why I say I see the world in patterns, and that's why I got a history degree, because that's all I see are patterns in the world. And it's the late stage capitalism is this shift of like the American Empire is declining, we're losing power around the world, and the rich in America don't want to feel that decline. So they shift the burden of the decline onto the lower class. I think I was going to say middle and poor, but no, we're just all poor. It's the extreme wealth and the rest of us, right? And it's the shifting, right? Stealing insurance from us so they could have tax cuts. The transfers of wealth to the top of the economy, the taking of rights from the rest of us to make us, it's the transfer of us from being independent workers that have health care, pensions, and rights to slave laborers.
This chart. It shows us what the federal minimum wage would be if it kept up with worker productivity. You see, in the years after World War II, the minimum wage rose in tandem with the nation's growing productivity. As workers produced more on the job, they earned more. It's no coincidence that during this time, many workers belonged to unions. But then, starting in the 1960s and 70s, and even more dramatically after 1980, the link between productivity and the minimum wage broke. Instead of workers getting paid more as they produced more, their unions got busted, and their increased productivity helped boost